Hey guys, welcome to our next episode of our Every Thursday with LinkedIn Live with John Lees. Guys, so good to have you on. Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're joining from if you're watching on LinkedIn Live or you're watching on the YouTube channel or Facebook. Welcome to this week's episode, guys. Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Give us a thumbs up. If there's any problems with any of the audio, please let me know as well. I will be checking the comments feed on both LinkedIn, YouTube, and the Facebook feed as well. So if you've got any questions, fire them in and ask John. Now, today's episode is all about you are not just running a business, it's a show. And John's going to draw some analogies between show business and business. John, throughout his life and career, has worked both sides of this. And it's going to be a really great episode. Had a really nice catch up with John about this yesterday and also before today's show. So really looking forward to that. I'm going to bring John straight into the broadcast and we're going to get straight into it today. But guys, please also remember, if you see me looking this way, I'm engaging in the comments. I'm answering questions from you guys. I'm acknowledging you that you've joined the broadcast, and I really appreciate everyone who makes the time to join John and I live every Thursday. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we enjoy doing it, and hopefully you guys enjoy the show too. So I'm going to bring John in right now. John, I've got you live on the broadcast. How's things in California this week? Is it warm over there? What's happening? Great to see you again.
No, thank you. Same with you. Well, it's pretty hot, actually. It's not really the kind of weather you want to go out, and having lived in Sydney for 45 years, I remember the heat there. So I think here it's about just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So not the kind of weather you want to go walking in. So, but other than that, everything's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I've got a bit of a surprise for you this morning, John. Our viewers will know that I've shared some cassette tapes before that I used to listen to. And
Yep.
I found a couple of others while cleaning up last night, which are these ones right here, everyone. And this is all about performance. And it's a cassette tape that you made with Paul Dunn. And I'm going to open this carefully, guys, because the label has fallen off one of them. And you can just see here how long John's been an expert in this field. I also used to listen to these in my car driving around. Used to drive my wife Narelle nuts at the time, but she enjoyed them as well. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show everyone them again this week. It's another set that I've dug out of the cupboard, and I am looking for a cassette tape to play these again. So all my friends in the recycling community, reuse community, working in shops, I want you to DM me if you've got a really good quality cassette tape that I can buy from you. I want to re-listen to these. Not only are there going to be loads of notes in these that I can compare back to our last 6 episodes, but just for nostalgia reasons, John, I want to get these back out and have a listen to them.
Okay, 2 things, if I may. Number one, your
Yes.
wife probably wasn't listening. She was probably looking at me, and I don't want to go any further than that, but I can well understand how she felt about that. Number 2, did you actually pay for those cassettes?
No, no.
Well, I have no record of you having paid.
Yeah, look, they were given to me, and I'm kind of thinking I could maybe resell them now, John. They've surely got to be worth a bit on the market.
They would be worth a bit, yes. So a couple of dollars. Yeah, I guess that would be great. Yeah. Anyway.
Alrighty, today's episode, John. I'm going to love this episode because I do think there's so many analogies. When we started speaking about this behind the scenes yesterday and in the lead up to today's show, there are so many analogies you can draw between putting a show on and business. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Please take it away. I'll stay on the screen for a bit. I'll jump in some of the comments, and then I'll take myself off the screen, guys. So I'll still be here, but I'll be off the screen, and I'll hand it over to John.
Great. Thank you, Simon. Thanks again for making this happen. Yeah, I hope you find this particular session interesting. It will be relatively short, but I hope you find it to be interesting. We've been having various discussions about all manner of things in business and what have you, but today's session is all about, it's not just a business you're running, it's a show. And I don't want to put too fine a point on that, but I will elaborate in a minute. So I've lived in America now for just over 5.5 years. And people say to me, are you going to develop an American accent? And I would like to develop an American accent, but the question is, which one do I want? Because there's quite a few. There's the New York kind of accent, where they talk like that, and you got to have your mouth in this position to talk like that, And I was playing tennis with a guy who's from New York, and he hit a winning shot. He and I were playing doubles against a couple of other guys, friends of ours, and he hit a good shot, a good passing shot. And I just said to him, great shot, Phil, his name was. And he said, yeah, he said, what I was going to do is I was going to put it over his head, but then I realized his partner could go behind him and get the ball. So I thought, no, I can't do that, So what I thought then was I'll hit it down the line. But I thought, no, I think he's got the line covered. So then I said, listen, they're waiting for us to serve. Oh, yeah, straight like that. So the New Yorkers can be quite conspiratorial. But anyway, that's not the accent I want. I like the accent. It's not the one I want. The one I want.
So a quick shout out to all our New Yorker viewers too, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, don't give them my address, please. Yeah. So anyway, the accent that I would like is the American accent that you hear when the guy promotes films that are coming up. Now, you must have heard this guy. He speaks in a very interesting way, and that's the kind of voice that I want. Something like, he stood alone against an unseen enemy. Who were they? Where were they? What are they? He didn't know if he would win. He didn't know if she would be there at the end. But he knew one thing. He was a winner. Van Damme in The Winner faces the unseen enemy. That's the voice I want. That's the one voice I want. The only question I've got is does he talk like that when he goes home at night? Hello, honey. Where's my dinner? Never forget, a winner needs his dinner. So anyway, that's the voice I'm going to cultivate, so you might be interested. People quite often here in America say to me, oh, you're from Australia? Like as if I've got an Australian accent. And I mean, in Australia, I used to use all the Australianisms. How you going, mate? G'day, mate. All the usual Australian things. As I said, we lived there 45 years, 3 kids. Loved it. Lived in Sydney. I went all over Australia working and so forth. I really enjoyed it. And so that was interesting. And the only accent I'd be careful of in Australia is the North Queensland accent, because the weather up there, the sun is so intense, it has an effect on the nasal side of everybody. So that you find that people up there, it affects them and their eyes start closing and what have you. So they don't say, how you going, mate? They say, where are you, mate? That's how they operate, But anyway, 3 Aussie kids, and, it's just amazing, really. Here we are from the UK, and we have 3 kids, and they're all talking like that, So I had one incident that happened I'm going to relate to you, where my son, who was about 10 at the time, said to me, Dad, I need help with a poem for tomorrow, please. So I said, oh, wonderful. My son needs my help. What is it, English literature? What is it, poetry? What is it? He said, no. I said, there's a girl giving me heaps on the bus in the morning, and I want to get back at her. What? What's she saying? Oh, I don't want to say because you'll only laugh. I'm not going to laugh. I'm your dad. Tell me what she says. Okay. She comes up to me on the bus, right? And she says, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You look like a chimpanzee and you smell like one too. I said, well, why would any son of mine get upset by something as weak as that? He said, oh, yeah, there's 35 other kids on the bus watching and listening when she says it. Oh, I said, I see. Well, no girl's going to do that to my son. Okay, I'll write a poem for you. Tell me, to help me write the poem, does she have any distinguishing features? He said, what does that mean? I said, oh, no. Does she have anything about her that's unusual that I can base the poem on? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's got a really big nose. Has she? Oh, yeah, he said, it's a whopper. I said, okay, well, then we'll write a poem about her nose, which I did. And I know that he delivered it because two of his mates witnessed the thing on the bus. The girl was so distressed by the poem that she, after that, went to school in a taxi. So here's the poem. Are you ready?
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
Okay. Ayers Rock is big, red, and bulging, and can be found in a distant place, which is why I want to know who went and moved it and put it on your face. And we all know what oxygen is, and we all know where it goes. We get to keep a bit of it. The rest goes up your nose. So he got dragged up in front of the headmaster for it, and so did I. And I got dragged up in front of his mother. But believe me, it was worth it. Okay? Anyway, so there you go. So let's get started.
Hey, John, before you get started, I want you to go back to that cinematic voice. And I would like you to do an intro for our show in that voice. I know I'm completely putting you on the spot here, but an intro for our show in the cinematic guy's voice.
All righty. Today, Simon Van Leuven is presenting a show starring the incredibly good-looking John Lees. And here we go. Yeah, that's really the voice I want. It's a commanding voice. It's a sexy voice. I like it. I like it.
Each to their own. I've done plenty of my own show intros in a similar voice.
Okay, let's get going. Now.
Okay, John, I'm going to jump off screen. I'm going to let you take over the screen, and I'll pop back in here and there with any questions that I get. So I will see you guys very shortly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it's not just a business you're running, it's a show. Now, when I was very young, when I was about 16, I got involved in show business in a very, very small way. A guy that I knew was good at miming, and he asked me to join him. And I then started writing the scripts. And all that we did is we took bits and pieces off various clips, various points, people that you might hear on the radio or on a record or something like that. And we take tiny little bits and we would mime them on stage and so forth and so on. I only did it for a couple of years, and then I got sick of it because I couldn't see my girlfriend or anything like that. And then when we went to Australia, we were watching, my wife and I were watching a show one night called Search for a Star, run by a guy called John Mahon. I don't know if John Mahn's still around, but anyway, so we used to watch it every week, and then, there'd be musicians on it and singers and, occasionally a comedian and what have you. And whenever a comedian was on, I used to say, boy, I think I could do better than that myself, because I've always loved comedy. I've always loved telling people jokes and what have you. So anyway, about a week later, I get a letter from Channel 10 in Sydney from the show, Search for a Star, saying that you have an audition on such and such a date. Well, I said to my wife, where's this come from? I didn't say anything to them. She said, well, you keep saying that you could do it better than they can, so now here's your big chance. So she was the one that sent it off. There was a thing in the paper about it and so forth. So I did that show. I came second in that show. Actually, I was knocked out. I won the first show. I got knocked out in the second show. Then someone, a band or something, they closed down, and there was an opening. They put me back in it again, and then eventually I came second in the show. And then I started doing the club circuit, doing comedy and what have you, at the same time as being a sales manager. And I didn't like it at all, because most of the people there had been drinking very heavily and didn't really understand any of the comedy. So I decided to quit it. But the interesting thing is, I had to learn how to entertain people. Okay, and there's different ways of entertaining people, and business also has that responsibility too. So there are three things that we have to remember when it comes to business and show business. The first one is your story. Do you or do you not have a good story to take to market? Because if you haven't, then basically you're in real trouble. And so are your salespeople, who will go to market with a very weak story. And lots of weak stories around, by the way. Everywhere you look, nobody means for it to happen, but they just haven't thought it through as to what constitutes a good story. So, for instance, I remember once getting a call from a lady at one of the credit card companies. And she said, "Hello, is that Mr. Lees?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Hi, I'm from," she mentioned the company, "and we've just introduced a new corporate credit card service. Would you like to hear about it?" I said, "No, thanks." She said, "Okay, bye-bye." That's powerful, isn't it? That's not a story. That's weak, absolutely weak. It's pathetic. Okay? So we have to have a story that really ignites interest in people. Okay? And there are three factors when you're looking at a story. Seduction, which reminds me, I must make a phone call. But anyway, introduction, seduction, production. So when your salespeople talk to customers, whether it's in retail or whether they're going out to talk to people, their intro has to be very interesting. And we've been over that in other sessions. They can't go around just saying, "Oh, let me tell you all about our company and when we got started." Nobody's interested in that. They're only interested in their own company and their own product. So what we have to be able to do is to say, "Thank you for agreeing to see me today. As I said over the phone, I only need 5 minutes of your time. If in that 5 minutes you will be interested in what we're doing on your behalf, then I will continue with your permission to go further and explain the story in more detail." Now that, from a customer's point of view, is excellent, because then they're not trapped. They don't have to listen to someone for 30 minutes or an hour. 5 minutes is fantastic. So we've got to have a good intro, okay? And that intro involves time, okay? And very interesting story. Very simple, interesting story that they feel compelled to listen to more. And the seduction part of it is letting them know that they can have an opportunity to do better in the product area that you represent or the service area you represent. And production simply means making it all happen, okay, for their behalf and so forth. Now, as I have mentioned at a previous session, the reason that my wife and I came to America is that I was invited by a company in Australia called Vionic Group. And Vionic Group made shoes, all different kinds of footwear with orthotics in them that would help people to walk and have relief from pain and all the kind of things that go on with the heel, the toes, the ankles, and so on and so on. So I created for the team here, they had established themselves in America in about 2007. So I only came here about 5.5 years ago. And I went out with some of the reps all over America to see what they were saying. They all had a completely different story, okay? The shoes were good, the products were good, but that's not your story. Your story is success for the customer. We couldn't treat retailers as stockists. We had to treat them as retailers and help them to be successful with our brand. So I created a very simple device called the Staircase Sales Plan. Very simple, a four-step plan. And we gave one of these to each of the reps. And they would, when they went to see someone, they would say, "I will just put this down here, and it covers the items that I'm going to cover today." There's only 4 of them. First one is the seasonal sales plan, meaning in the shoe industry that I'm going to let you know what we can achieve for and with you in terms of results for your store. That's all customers are interested in, okay? And the product plan to make it happen. Secondly, I'm going to go through the sell-through initiatives with you that will help you to be successful. Number 3, there'll be an in-season check-in so that I will call you and make sure that everything's going according to plan. And if it isn't, then we will make it better. If it's already going well, maybe I can send you more shoes out and so forth. And then finally, an end-of-season results and insights for the next season. This suggests to people that the salesperson is organized and they only have 4 simple steps. Every good story is a simple story. So the first thing we have to have is a good story. And you have to ask yourself, is our story compelling, interesting, or not? Because in most cases, it most certainly is not. Okay, that's just the way it is. Don't blame me. That's the way it is. I mentioned to you in one of the sessions that you should look for what I call a success search. So you can call it an ideas bank, where your salespeople are asked to tell you about people in their given geographic area who have had an uncommon level of success with your product or service. Okay, you need to know who these people are. They're usually very, very few people who have extraordinary levels of success. Sometimes it was caused with your help. In many cases, it is caused by their own endeavor, their own ideas and their own commitment and so forth. Okay, and then you, in a responsible manner, you take those ideas and then you use those ideas for your salespeople wherever you serve people and so forth. But at least now you're selling results. Okay, so as I said before, if you want to get results, and I'm sure you do, then sell results. Okay, not just simple results, higher results. That's what people are interested in. Okay, and it doesn't mean to say that they have to stand back and watch what you do, although in many cases, many customers are very much involved in other things, but they will be interested in what you do and how you do it, when you do it, etc. So we have to make absolutely sure that we are the prime operators of our product in their particular business. So the first thing you have to have is a damn good story. Most companies, over 90% of companies, I would say as many as 95%, do not have a good story. Okay? They didn't mean not to have a good story. They simply do not have a good story. It's about as simple as that. It's an ordinary, predictable story about their product, about what they charge, all the kind of things that they do that are basic and predictable, such as service ideas and so forth. So you've got to have a very good story. Without that, you got nothing. Next. Salespeople. You've got to make absolutely sure that your people are able to tell your story, that they themselves have bought the story, they like the story, they actually feel sorry for people who do not have this story of ours. And that's really a very strong thing to have. They actually feel sorry for people who don't have it. That is based on the fact that they know in advance what kind of benefits people will get, so they can't wait to go and see them. But they have to know exactly how to go through this process here. Okay, and a lot of companies have problems with salespeople. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had sales problems, but for the most part, I managed to fix it because I learned from each exercise and so forth. And I mentioned to you in a previous session, it's still available to you at any time you like. All you have to do is send me an email, our business and your potential employment. Okay, so when you are hiring someone, and I wouldn't recommend that you use an outside source to hire people for you. That's a cop-out. I'm talking about you sitting down with someone who has applied for a role in your sales operations, okay? And they have got to match your story. Not from the very beginning. They've got to be taught how to do it, sold on how to do it, tested on how to do it, and so forth, okay? Because in the theater, their idea is that we don't train until we get it right. We train until we can't get it wrong. Now, that does not mean they become robotic and clinical. It means that they can enjoy themselves while they're actually doing their job. Such is the nature of the way they've been trained and so forth. So the training I do for salespeople is, number one, to sell them on the story, okay? And then sell them on how to tell the story, which is this process here. Okay. Now, this particular sheet is very valuable. I simply call it the recruitment device. The idea is that you interview someone, they go through what they want to say, you go through what you want to say nice things about the company and what you're looking for in an individual, and they say what they want to say. Oh, I love working hard, I love striving with a team, whatever the nonsense they come up with, and so forth. And then at the end of the meeting, however long it was, half an hour or whatever, you then say, well, first of all, thank you for being here. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to give you this document here. I don't want you to read it now. I want you to read it when you go home. It explains to you what our goals are, okay? And our goals, in very simple terms, are to be successful with our customers, to create success with our customers. Number two it's to be successful for the staff that work for us. We want them to be successful. You know, success begets success. So if you don't have successful salespeople, you will not have successful sales. And then the third factor is how well we do as a company. And we are dependent on our customers succeeding and our staff succeeding. And then that we are the third in line for the pair. And so in here, we have standards, the kind of standards that we expect. And obviously you can put this together as you see fit. I'd be happy to help you, by the way, if you want to get my views on it. Well, you can send me some basic views and I'll give you my thoughts on how you've done it. The idea is give them the form, ask them to look at it when they go home. And if they agree with what's on here in terms of selling standards, they should call you back. And then you can go, if you wish, to the second interview with them. But in most cases, you will find 70 to 80% of the people that you spoke to, interviewed, will in fact never call you back. Okay, and the reason they don't want to call you back is they're not interested in having to live up to these kind of standards. So very, very good device, which means that the only people who do call you back are the people who are willing and able to live up to the standards that you set to deliver on your story. There's nothing complicated about this. There isn't any point in having a great story if you have weak people, okay? And they don't know how to sell. Most people don't know how to sell. If you're not sure of what I mean, think about people who tell you jokes. Have you ever had a friend of yours tell you a joke and they made a complete and utter mess of it? Okay, well, we forgive them. They're friends of ours. They're mates of ours. But we can't do that in business, okay? We have to make absolutely sure that everything is the way it should be. So, okay. So just all you have to do is send to me an email saying, can I please have the recruitment device? And then you can change it as you see fit. And I'd be happy to give you my help if you wish. Okay, we've got to have the right people. Remember this, you can't do the right thing with the wrong people. It doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. Okay, third factor. Feedback. Now, in the theatre, they get feedback. They have what you might call a, what do they call it? A preview performance. So they put on a performance for a regular audience, regular kind of people, but they also have critics go to the session as well. And then they get feedback. And they may not like some of the feedback, but it's absolutely vital that they get it so that they can modify the story according to the feedback that they've got. Why would you have an idea of going forward, like a medication that you've developed, if you don't test it and find out that it actually works the way it's supposed to? So it's the same with a story. We've got to test that story. Okay, and everything that I do in business, everything I've ever done in business, whether it's a little bit of humor, whether it's to do with an idea, I test it as much as I can to make absolutely sure that the idea is going to work. Okay, I don't want to take any chances. Okay, I don't want to cross my fingers and hope for the best. I want to make absolutely sure it works. So these are the three critical factors in making the move from running a business to running a show, if you know what I mean. That's a behind the scenes type language. Get a very good story together. I'll help you with that if you want it. Very, very happy to help you with it. It's something I've worked on most of my life. Make sure what kind of salespeople you're looking for, what kind of standards you're going to set to make sure that they live up to the story, okay? And in the theatre, they don't mess around with this kind of thing. You might have young people applying for a job. Well, they can't mess around. They've got to perform their particular role. And that's what we have to do. And we have to make absolutely sure through supervision that our salespeople are telling the story that we need people to hear, okay? Don't allow a situation where you've got a really good message and then you've got the messengers, because that's what salespeople are, who are delivering their own message and ruining everything up here, okay? I'll give you an example. Hi there, I was just wondering, if you have time to hear about our story in business and so forth. I'm not sure if this is a good time for you. Well, actually, it's not a good time for us at the moment. I'm so sorry. Oh, no, don't worry about it. Maybe next time I see you, I can do. Yes, absolutely, sure. And if you've got a brochure or a card, leave me the card and we'll have a chat another time. That's so weak. But that's what happens to these people if they are not set standards, not supervised, not incentivized, and mostly not sold on the story and tested on the story and receive feedback from the market, which says, go for it. It's a fantastic story. That's what everybody needs to hear. Okay? So that's it from me. And I'm just going to
John.
Sorry, go ahead.
John, just like a really broad question from everyone, what's the best way to go into the marketplace? And I know there might be a really obvious answer, but, obviously, when you've got a stage show or a theatre production, you bring people in, they watch it, and they get feedback. I guess it's kind of the same in the business community about testing your story in the marketplace. Can you share a couple of ways that you've gone about that in the past for everyone?
Yeah, as I've mentioned in previous sessions, we had a board of customers, and we met them, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, every quarter. We had a team in Australia, a team in New Zealand. They enjoyed the meetings more than we did because they had an opportunity to talk with each other, learn from each other, and they loved the meetings that we had because we were helping them with their business, and nobody else was doing it. Nobody. They were just leaving them and criticizing them and wishing that they were better at what they did, which is an awful way to do business. So, I think we got feedback all the time, and we were happy to bounce our ideas off people. You can't go to market with your fingers crossed, hoping that, everybody's okay. You have to be absolutely sure of what is going to happen and what should happen and so forth.
Yeah, and it's almost sometimes, some people are afraid to go and seek that feedback, and then that almost creates, a scenario where people don't push forward with an idea because they're afraid of the feedback that they might get. But it's the most important part of actually pushing forward a new idea, a new product, or the story about what it is that you're offering the market.
Yeah, and what's the point of having good people if you don't have a good story? What's the point of having a good story if you don't have people who are very well prepared in doing what they have to do and so forth?
Yep.
So, I think the feedback factor, therefore, is very important. I use feedback all the time. I make it to my business to talk to people, tell them what I'm going to do, ask their opinions, and they give me the feedback. And quite often there's a comedian in the UK called Tim Vines. I think his name is. He's one of the best one-liner comedians. He's a very funny guy. And there was a program where he was shown at 1 o'clock in the morning out at a comedy club, wasn't being paid anything, and he had notes in his hand with his jokes there, and he was testing his jokes at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he said afterwards, and as I said, he didn't get paid for it, he said, the jokes that I thought would work didn't really work the way I wanted, and some of the jokes that I didn't think would work did work the way I wanted. So he's testing, he's making absolutely sure that his story is as strong as it can possibly be, and why anyone would go to market without that. And all of us can remember films and shows that were absolutely excellent from when we were children all the way through our lives, and also stories that we've seen that were very average and so forth and so on. If you don't have a good story, you're not going to make any money, and you're not going to have a good reputation.
Yeah, and there's another good point that you've touched on there, John, also is, sometimes you got to try these things in the marketplace for free, be willing to do the work, try it for free to see if it actually does work. There's a lot of other people on social that talk about that. And I definitely believe in that, not everything you can do, you can charge for until it's actually proven that it works. And so offering to do it for free is definitely one way of obviously testing the market.
Yeah, the point is that, as I said, if I've got a new joke, then I make absolutely sure that I know how to tell the joke. Now, the people I'm telling the joke to are not an audience. They're just people I know.
Yeah.
The next door neighbor, people in Starbucks that I have a lot of fun with. And all sorts of people that I meet and know, I tell my jokes to. And the same principle applies to business stories. You've got to be able to let people know. And that's what we did with this, by the way, because we had in America a board of customers. and we told them about the staircase plan. They'd never heard of anything like it. None of the so-called vendors or the suppliers actually approached them and used this kind of an approach. Okay, all they did was, and I went out with our salespeople, and what they would do is they would have an enormous bag or 2 or 3 full of shoes. Okay, very nice salespeople, by the way. And they would go to see a retailer, and the retailer would put some time aside, and he or she would say, okay, so Dave, what's it all about? What's happening? What's going on with next season? Oh, okay, well, let me, and then they would open the bag, and then they would start taking out shoes. This one is this, and this one is that, and so on and so on. And then they go through the next bag. And while they were doing it, the customer would be making notes as to what he wanted to buy, and the customer would decide what he wanted to buy and what he didn't want to buy, because he wasn't influenced in a positive way. So we had to stop all that. And we introduced the staircase sales plan, which is a simple number of steps, which were obvious to the reps. Okay, and the first thing we do is talk about a very special kind of result that we will help you to achieve. And that made people sit up and take notice.
Yeah, it's a great process, John. And just a quick reminder to everyone, you know, everything that we're talking about in all these live shows actually features in the 13 books that you have written. And I've just put a link just down below there, guys. You can see it rolling across the bottom of the screen. You can, and there's all the titles right there as well. There's all 13 of them. Now, if you email John at info@johnlees.com.au, John can send you a PDF copy of the 13 titles that you can see John holding up there. And you can select any one of those books, and John will send you that copy for free. So great generosity there to our audience. There's 13 books to work through there. And, you know, you can almost read each one of those books and then go and watch one of these episodes and put 2 and 2 together, and you'll start to see how John's actually intertwined the lessons in those books into these episodes that he's offering out in the marketplace for free through our platform here. Okay,
well, let me just go through these very quickly. The Move from Order Taker to Salesmaker, a book on selling. Okay, how to move from being reactive to proactive. That's the first book that I wrote. Sell pleasure first, price last. Okay, when you're buying a book, you go to the front cover first to see what the title is. That's what seduces you. Then you go to the back cover to see what the cost is and the details and so forth, etc. Sell pleasure first, price last is all about selling and good service. How sales makers win new customers. So if you are faced with the challenge of converting prospects into customers, this is a book devoted to it. Helping the Best Get Better, which is a management book. 1 idea per page, approximately. 200 ideas in the book on marketing, selling, service, all manner of things related to sales. The Focus, Thoughts, and Actions of High Achievers in Business, which shows you where the top performing companies, small, medium, or large, where their thinking is. You know, they think more about creating opportunities for people than they do simply for creating opportunities for themselves. Successful sales management. How does a good manager lead staff to tell their story and to do it very successfully, and so forth? The incredible power of center field marketing. There's 2 forms of marketing. Touchline, where you watch what goes on and criticize customers. Center field marketing is when you get involved with your customers, learn about the way they do things and how you can help them work together, etc. The ultimate marketing challenge, to create and sell the third result. Okay, very important. That goes into the second gap, into a lot of detail. How to drive a franchise to success. Don't let that wording fool you, because this book is for anybody who's a manager in business. Small business is never good or bad, it's what you make it. Creating the spirit of service and success. Serious sales development with a touch of humor. And a guide to unique business development strategies and so forth. So I hope that you elect to contact me and let me know. I'm more than happy to send you the books that you would like. As Simon said, they're in PDF form and so forth. And if I'd like just to finish, if I may, with a story about the theatre. So there's a touring repertory company in the UK, and they're involved in a very good story, very good, presentation. But unfortunately, half the cast goes down with flu at one point, and they try to use some of the actors to perform different parts apart from the one they were chosen for. But they needed one more person. So they had a guy who did the cleaning for them after every presentation, after every performance. So they said to him, we need one more person in our show, and you're the only person we've got, and we'd like to have you involved if you don't mind. And he said, well, I can't, I can't do that, can I? I'm a cleaner, ain't I? What am I going to do? They said, no, we'll teach you how to do it. But in fact, it's very simple. I'll tell you now, you only got 2 words to speak. That's all. Okay? Well, 2 words? Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean much. It means a lot. Believe me, in this story, the 2 words are pivotal. They're absolutely vital. Well, what are they? Here are the 2 words. And the 2 words are issued by you at the very middle of the performance. Okay? So the first half is done, and then you come on stage, and then the second half, and you have something to say which is extremely important. It's only 2 words, and the words are, it is. That's what you have to say. Well, that's a piece of cake, isn't it? It is. God, blimey, anybody could do that. No, not anybody. You've got to learn how to do it. Okay? All right. So he said, right, so I want you to get your costume, come back here, and run a test with me. So he said, all right. So he goes out, gets his costume, comes back, and he said, okay, hit me with the 2 words. It is. No. You got the words right, but that's not the sentiment we want you to get across. Say it again. It is. No. Come on, give some power to it. It should be something like, it is. He said, all right, it is. Good. Great. You've got it. Really? Yeah. He said, you know something? He said, some of the greatest actors started off in this part. He said, so this could be a really good start for you. Wow. He said, give it to me one more time. It is. Oh, he said, it's getting better and better. One more time. It is. Oh, fabulous. Well done. He said, okay, well, the show starts in about an hour. So go and get your costume on, come back, and I'll tell you when you go on stage. He said, okay. So he came back. He said, okay, we're just waiting for the first half to close. Do you want to just give me your practice again, your words? It is. Oh, you're a born actor. Really? Oh, thank you. That's right. Thank you. He said, okay, now it's coming to a close. Okay, the stage goes into darkness. You will then walk out, and then the light will come on you. You will look at that light, and you will say, what are the words? It is great. Are you ready? Go! And he walked out to center stage, and the light went on, and he looked up, and he said, is it? They just couldn't believe he had ruined the entire show. And he came off stage, and they said, what are you doing? You completely ruined the whole show. Well, I didn't mean to, but you have. You ruined the whole show. Hopeless, absolutely hopeless. You're fired. Oh, he said, you can't fire me. He said, why not? He said, I know my lines backwards. So, thanks again, Simon, for making this happen. And we'll see you again if we can come up with some ways of looking at it. And if people are interested in particular areas of business that they would like us to talk about, providing that I have the information, then you can just let us know and we'll give consideration to it. Thanks again.
Absolutely, guys. And thank you again, John. Everyone's got to see a bit of your humorous side today and your experience from being in show business. You work comedy into business very, very well, I must say. So it's nice to get a bit more of that today. I enjoyed it, particularly with what's happening over here. Well, not just here in Australia, but all around the world. We all laugh occasionally, and business is serious, but we also need to have some fun along the way and enjoy it. So I really appreciate, John, how you bring a bit of fun to it all. So thanks again, John. Another great show. And guys, please remember, if you want a copy of the covers of those books, or you want to request one of those books from John, either send him a message on one of the platforms. You can send me a message and I'll put you in touch with John. But seriously, the easiest way is flick John an email. I've put it on the bottom of the screen there now, info@johnlees.com.au. untitled.com.au. And I've got a little guest who just wants to quickly join me before I finish off. No, she's gone all shy because I am shooting from home today. I've got my daughter Alana, who's been our live audience here today, and she's been giggling in the background. She's a big fan of British comedy, and I think you've given her a bit of a taste of that today as well, John. So thank you for that. You've put a smile on her dial.
Thanks to people for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, there you have it. Please, from California. It's our regular Thursday show. I'd love you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, share it, subscribe, turn those notifications on. We've got some more guests coming up for our recycling and sustainability show as well. So please stay tuned for that. And next Thursday, join us live again with John Lees at 11 a.m. And in the meantime, please, wherever you are, stay safe. And thank you for your time. And we'll see you guys next time. And that's not working. So we will see you guys next time. Boom. We're still live.
Oh.
I haven't pressed end. Sorry, guys.